Today is all about positivity, positive messaging, positive affirmations, manifestations, good vibes. I have an alarm that goes off on my phone every day at 9 a.m. that just says mantra. And it's literally a reminder for me to take 10 seconds out of my day to say the things to myself that I know improve my mood, improve my confidence, improve my creativity and my output. And the way that we talk to ourselves and the things that we say to ourselves is so powerful, and we know that. But why am I only doing it once a day? Why is it only happening for 10 seconds at 9 a.m.? That's ridiculous. I thought, what if I could create cool home decor that has those messages sort of woven throughout, that just when you see them, it's that reminder to say and feel that wonderful thing. I'm really excited because you know who's the perfect partner on a video like this? Cricut. Obviously Cricut. Cricut is sponsoring today's video, and it could not be the more perfect partner. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Cricut, basically the way that I think about it is like the instant hack to make every DIY project you've ever done look like it belongs in a store. Look like it's professional, look like someone would spend all of the dollars to own it because of the precision. Now, one of the ways that Cricut is used most is their cutting machines. This is the Maker 3. It's one of the machines that I have. There's a blade here. This blade can cut anything from cardstock to iron-on transfers to vinyl to fabric, wood, plastic, all sorts of things. You create your design and then you just press make it. The machine knows the intensity, the pressure, the blade, how to cut it, and out pops this thing that you're like, wait, what? I made that? The most gratifying experience ever. This is actually something I'm using for the first time today, and I can't wait to show you how it came out. This is the Cricut Mug Press. Now, the first one we're gonna start with is these mirrors. I saw these and I was like, that is so cool. It felt like something that you would see at Urban Outfitters. It felt like something that could go anywhere from a college dorm to an epic elevated one in like a fancy house. So we're gonna start off with that one. All right, so here are the mirrors we're gonna use. I bought these on Amazon. I'll link them below in case you want them. There's a protective film on them, which is why they look cloudy. So first thing you want to do is always measure the length of the item you're putting something on so that you know how to size your graphics when you open up Cricut Design Space, which is this. I am going to click shapes and I'm going to add a circle. I'm basically going to add one circle for every mirror that I'm planning on using. That way I essentially have a template to build out my graphics. You can size them to the exact size of each mirror. So I'm going to do a bunch of them at 4 inches, which is the smallest, the next one at 8, copy paste, the next one at 10, and then the next one at 14. Now, I laid out all the mirrors on the floor so that I could create my overall design where this is eventually going to go, and then I recreated that layout here on Cricut so that I could kind of visualize what the entire design is going to look like. You're going to add text, and then you're going to edit your font. The fonts are either system fonts, which is every single font your computer has installed and ever downloaded, or Cricut fonts, which are downloadable if there's anything new that you want to grab. Now, at the top is where you have all of these amazing customizations. You can reduce the space between the letters, increase the space between the lines. You can warp it, you can curve it. Amazing little things that you can do. It's kind of like Photoshop for Dummies. It's very, very easy. Drag and drop. And basically just start putting each of your texts and your graphics inside of these circles, which are our mirrors. Play around until you start having the design that you want. You can also add images. If you click images, it's gonna pull up 300,000 plus images. Just type in what you want and search until you find an image that works. Blake sat with me since this was gonna go in her room. We looked at clouds, we looked at flowers, we looked at smiley faces, all sorts of fun stuff, and we started popping them in. Now, this next part I think is super important. I have all of my Cricut vinyls sitting in front of me. I am going to start editing all of the graphics into the same color as some of the vinyls so that I can actually create my design and decide what color is going to be printed in what so that I have a nice layout and the colors all work beautifully together. Once you're done, remove the circles. We don't actually need to cut those. Those were only placeholders for our mirrors. So delete all of the circles. Now you're going to click Make It and you're going to click Premium Vinyl. It is automatically going to create a new cut for every single color that you chose. So for example, I had blue clouds on one, but blue text on another. It's gonna put both of those on the same sheet because they're cutting out of the same material. So you're gonna take your premium vinyl, you're gonna do it shiny side up on your mat, feed it into the machine. It's gonna blink with the little arrows when it's ready. It'll feed in and kind of measure the materials, and then the play button will flash when it's ready to cut. it will do its thing, it will cut, it will pop it right out to you, and then you peel it. Now, the beauty of large graphics like this is you can literally peel it like a sticker. It's so easy. You're gonna use this little weeding tool anytime you have something that's more detailed, and you'll see much later in the video, I need that for a tiny little Leo candle I'm gonna be making. Now, once the first one is done, it automatically loads into the next color, and the next color, and the next color, and the next color. So all you have to do is follow the Cricut design space. It's gonna show you what color comes next. You feed it in while you're weeding one, and you can make some really good time. Now, this is strong grip transfer tape. This was my first time using it, and I'm obsessed. It is so much stronger than the traditional transfer tape. You barely have to squeegee it. I think technically that's called burnishing, but I call it squeegeeing. You barely have to do that at all, and it lifts it right up. Like, I could not believe how fast it worked. Now, it's very strong, very, very strong, so it takes a little bit more squeegeeing when you actually need to lift it off of the mirror. So you're gonna take your piece, you're gonna center it in your mirror, you're gonna squeegee, squeegee, squeegee. A little bit of heat from like a heat gun helps release it if you need that help. Then you're gonna peel it back, and voila. You're gonna move on to the next one. Same graphic, and again, because you created your design in the design space, you have a template showing you what color goes on what size mirror, what layout you need, what cloud goes with what text, what flower. You just refer back to that Cricut design space. Save all of these pieces of the vinyl the transfer tape, because you can reuse them. It's super strong and you can reuse them, so save them. I wanted the clouds to go off the edge, so instead of trying to perfect that in design space, I just printed the full cloud and I just cut off the excess. Now it looks really cute. It looks custom made, that it's kind of going off the edges and following the natural shape. Another tip with the strong transfer tape is if you have a large graphic like this, I recommend doing them in 3 separate smaller pieces. It's gonna be easier to peel off the transfer tape when you have smaller pieces than if you had one huge like 8x10. That would be a little bit difficult. Kind of wiggle back and forth, that's gonna pull it off. Save that transfer tape to use again. And let's take a look at what this looks like in Blakey's little room. Now, we're doing a little bit of a room makeover for her, so it's kind of a mess, so I didn't film the whole thing, but I cannot tell you how amazing this looks. First of all, the colors are so vibrant. It's so graphic, playful, positive. The mirrors reflect light throughout the room in such a magical way. The whole thing looks so great, and she is obsessed, and I highly recommend it. Let's move on to the mug press. This is really cool because this is very different than anything I've ever done. We are not using Cricut Design Space. We are not using our cutting machine. We are only using the mug press. So I was thinking, what if you could take art, like art that you own, and put it on a mug? How cool would that be? It could be art that you create, that your kids create, that you bought, whatever. You would take a picture, you would print said picture, you would sublimate said picture. Really, really awesome. And the art that I wanted to feature today is actually by my cousin. So my cousin Natasha has this really cool aesthetic. Each piece feels like there's this like whole story, this whole world going on. And I love how she kind of mixes like handwritten messages on paper and cuts them out and then puts them on, and there's painting and layers and different textures. It's just very cool. So I texted her and I was like, would you want to create like positive affirmation driven artwork? Something that I could put on a white mug. She was like, I'm in Europe. I have Crayola markers though, like does that work? And literally an hour later, this chick sent me this picture. Super cool with a white backdrop so that it's just gonna be clean on the mug. All of these beautiful messages, really cool little designs. Now you can just print these directly on an inkjet printer. My friend though, Ashley, who I interviewed here on my channel because she basically took one Cricut machine and turned it into a 6-figure business within like a year. She has this amazing Etsy shop that's all custom party decorations. She has a YouTube channel. She uses these machines for her business, so she knows the ins and outs of every single thing. So she's a great resource. I'm gonna put her channel down below as well. I highly recommend following her. Anywho, I texted her and I was like, if I send you some images, could you print them on your like high quality printer and send them to me? And she did. So I ended up with all of these beautiful images that all I had to do was pop on my mug and press. All right, so here is the mug press. You're gonna press the power button and it's gonna turn orange. This is the heat up phase. It's gonna take about 7 minutes for this to get fully hot and ready to press. I got a couple of mugs from Cricut, but you can use different mugs. I would just double check the sizes to make sure that it fits. Now here are the images that Ashley sent me. I'm gonna make this pressed flower one available on Cricut Design Space for you guys to download for free. This is the one that Natasha made me. So stoked to see how that one comes out. And then this is an extra one that I made by screenshotting something something off her Instagram and just sort of doubling it up so that it would be long enough to wrap around the entire mug. Now, you want to trim them to size, very tight to size, because it's going to be easier when you actually put the paper directly on your mug to make sure that everything is center. This is heat resistant tape. You're going to want to do that. I did not do that on my first one. The tape melted, the graphic moved, and it was imperfect. So heat resistant tape is super important. Now you're just gonna put the image directly on the mug, and you just wanna make sure everything is centered, that it's a centered gap between the mug on the right and left, that the top and bottom are even. Make sure it's pulled super, super tight, and then put on your heat resistant tape. I just wanna make sure that everything is really snug. That's the most important part. Now, you're gonna drop it directly into the mug press. Make sure that the handle is centered, even as you start clamping it, because you'll see as you start clamping it, it almost pushes the mug a little bit to the left. So make sure that you're sitting right in front of it and you are centering it. Now, it's on the first light. There are 5 lights total. Theoretically, when all 5 lights are done, it's done. I found that 4 lights was the right amount for me. And look at how great that came out. It's perfect. And the reason that I only did 4 lights is that I found that one that I did for 5, the colors almost were darker than I wanted. But I did all of these for sort of a 4 count and they came out perfectly. I am obsessed with this pressed flower mug. Look at the detail in this. Like, each mug has its own personality. To me, this feels like the most artistic, beautiful, special mug. This one feels like something that you would see in like Anthropologie in the home section. The colors, the clarity, the detail. Like, I still can't get over the fact that Natasha did this with Crayola markers on a family trip in Europe. Like, and she sent it via a screenshot on her phone. Like, it's just insane how beautiful and professional this looks. Look at the colors. Look at the detail. Look at the veining in these flowers. This one you guys can download if you want to make this. It is so gorgeous and it really does make me smile every time that I see it. All right, last but not least, let's do a little Zodiac. This is going to be super quick because the techniques are things that I've already shown you in the very first mirror project. To me, like Zodiac, human design, all of those different things, they almost allow us to own who we are. Like, I'm a Leo. We're going into Leo season. Sometimes there might be things about myself that I get insecure about, and then I remember, like, I'm a Leo. I'm supposed to be like that. Like, that's how I was created, and it almost creates a sense of ownership. So I'm gonna do like a whole little Leo story that's all about like owning who I am, embracing it, and again, very cool for gift ideas or home decor. Alrighty, this will be a slightly abbreviated one because many of these steps are repeated. Obviously, you're gonna measure the distance of where any graphic is gonna go so you know how large to make it in Cricut Design Space. You're gonna click on images, and I am searching Leo lion, figuring I'm gonna come up with some kind of Zodiac something. There were so many cool designs. It actually was very hard to decide. Lots of cool graphics. I knew that I wanted a single color because I was gonna do it in a premium foil, like a metallic foil. This is the one that I ended up adding in. I sized it to be the right size based off my candle. And then I typed in flames. I wanted to create the tall, skinny candle to have like flames that wrapped around it. Flame fire for Leo, the word Leo, and the lion for Leo. And I felt like I had covered all my bases. Now, as always, you're gonna click make it. You're gonna say what size mat. If this was going on a t-shirt, you would click mirror like that. It's not, it's going on vinyl, which means that it's going shiny side up, no mirror necessary. Now, this is the adhesive foil. This stuff is amazing. It literally looks like a mirror when it's done. So it creates such a cool effect. And look at the detail in that Leo cutout. Like, are you kidding me? It's just too cool. Now, the strong transfer tape is even more important for the foil. The foil stuff is very, very hard to lift. It's gonna give you a hard time. So I really only recommend doing this if you grab some of the strong foil because it's gonna make your life a lot easier. Work in sections. Anytime you're doing a large piece like this, there's gonna be bubbles. And so you really wanna work slow, massaging it in, pressing it in, going back if you need to until the entire thing is even. Now, in order to make this one even easier, I decided to just cut each letter individually, and it just made it go much faster. Now, this is what weeding is normally like. It's tedious, it's time consuming, it requires a lot of focus, but it's worth it. This one has tremendous detail that needs to be weeded. You need to take your time. You need to make sure that you're not lifting up anything you don't want to lift up. But when it's done, is it worth it? Holy cow. This one, when it goes on this neon candle, I'm telling you, it literally felt like the kind of thing I would see in like a boutique in Malibu. So, so cool. Remember that a heat gun is a great way to help lift it and transfer it, especially with that strong transfer tape, which really wants to hold on to it. Take a look at this. Oh my God, I'll show it to you in more detail later. Now, this is the very last one. This mirror, I will link as well. I got this on Amazon. I thought it would either be a really cool mirror put up, or it could be like a little tray to put all of my candles on, to have this like full little Leo moment next to my bed. Now, the same way that we put in a circle to be our mirrors, I took a photo of the mirror on the floor and imported it directly into Cricut Design Space. What this is gonna let me do is create my text on the shape, the wavy, rounded shape of this mirror. If I can design it on the mirror, then when I print it, it's gonna be exact. Most important thing is just making sure that you actually make the size of the mirror in Cricut Design Space the same as the size of the actual mirror. So when it prints, boom, it's a perfect fit. Take a look at that. You guys, I gotta say, I am absolutely in love with this. I feel like this is the most epic gift set. If you really wanted to give someone a high-end set, this is amazing. If you have an Etsy shop and you wanna start selling Zodiac themed things like every month for the right Zodiac, is such a cool idea. The high shine of the foil is epic. The detail in this one is just insane. I mean, the lion has eyelashes. Like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna link the different things that I have down below. This is what I'll say. It is one of those things that once you own it, you use it like crazy. It is so user-friendly. It's so easy to just plug in, pull up a thing, type it out, print it, and boom. Like, it feels very overwhelming and scary at first, but once you get it, you realize it is so easy. Plus, there are 1 million YouTube videos here that answer every little question, no matter how small and silly you think it is. It doesn't matter what the question is, there's a video on YouTube answering it. Okay, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this one. Have a beautiful week. Happy summer. I love you guys. I will see you next week.